Hey there, everybody. Hey, Jeff.
Kathy Carter.
Kathy Carter. Hey, Jeff. Hey, everyone. Welcome to our live interview today with Jeff Morrell. I'm just super excited to have Jeff. Jeff and I have known each other in the business for a little bit. He's out there in Colorado Springs and obviously here in Nashville. And Jeff, thanks for being our guest today.
Happy to be on here. Thanks for asking me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. You're a rock star out there. So, I put a little bit out last night about, like what you've done in real estate, just a little blurb and kind of like how life hit you. So we're going to talk about that part a little bit later. But why don't you just start by giving us the highlights of your real estate journey? Tell us, a 2-minute overview there.
Yeah, for sure. So my wife and I got 2 daughters. We moved to Colorado back in December of 99. My wife's family was here, and we wanted to get our kids closer to grandparents. We were living out on our own, and so we moved here. It was going to be here in Indiana, where I'm from, and we'd come to visit Colorado a few times, loved it, so we decided to make a move here. My father-in-law is a real estate developer, and I really didn't know what I was going to be doing when I got here. It was still kind of up in the air with some things, and he and I were out walking one day, and he's an excellent photographer, does all kinds of outdoor photography. And he's like, man, I've been so busy. He says, I don't know what you're thinking about doing, but this cell phone strapped to my hip, I'd love to give it to you and teach you what I'm doing so I could travel more, take more, photos and do things, whatever, start living.
He didn't tell you that was a lifelong thing, did he? Strapping the phones to our hips.
Yeah. So anyway, I'm like, my wife and I, we prayed about it. Like, it sounded good. Like, yeah, let's do it. So I started working with him. I worked with him in real estate development for a couple, 2-3 years. 9/11 hit, and his projects just came to a screeching halt. It was just, everything froze. And so for about 6 months, he was paying me, but there was nothing to do, and I'm like, okay, I'm still on a salary because I'm his son-in-law, and I hated that feeling. So I went and got my real estate license, and then started doing residential sales January 2002. Started a small independent company here in town, was there for 3 years. My 3rd year, because of a really good coaching program I was in that I really just plugged into, I did 72 deals, by myself my 3rd year, and it about killed me. And my wife was helping me a ton already. So she went and got her license. We went to Keller Williams. We built the team, had a very successful team there at Keller Williams for 5 years. I ended up leaving there in 2010, went back to an independent company, mainly because of money. We can talk about that, but was there for 7 years. And then 4 years ago, a buddy of mine, Sean Sturrock, reached out to me and asked me to take a look at the EXP, which if somebody called me today, I'd certainly go, you don't know what you don't know. I'd go look at something. I've always been open to looking. And so I went and looked at it. I told Sean, like, there's no way I'm moving. I've been there, done that, the big companies, but I've certainly taken a look at what you got. And a week after I said that, we made the move because it just made too much sense. Yeah, so I've been here now for 4 years. We've been here, be 21 years now in January, in real estate. So grateful for it. As crazy as it can be sometimes, it's been a good business.
Yeah, no doubt. Well, let's go back, because there's going to be, newer agents listening in, and there'll be some experienced agents, that listen in or maybe even catch the replay. So if you could go back, Jeff, as a new agent and tell yourself one thing, like, what would you tell yourself?
Be consistent. I think be consistent, be out where the people are. Don't just get stuck up in an office somewhere. Be out where the people are, meet as many as you can, but be consistent with your calls, with lead generating, with lead follow-up. Be consistent there. I think, one of the things that I see so many realtors going through, and myself included, as I was building it up and it started growing, all of a sudden we have that really good month. We have that month where we go, oh my gosh, I got 4 closings, 5, 6 closings in 1 month. Oh my gosh, we're going to make all this money. But then I don't have any more closings for 3 months because I wasn't consistent in making those calls to keep up on the future business. I found myself all of a sudden now it's like feast and famine. And, I just had to learn from that. Like, no, like take, even if it's a half an hour, whatever, block that time out every day. To at least Monday through Friday, Saturday mornings were always good for me, making the calls, to keep that future business, coming in, to keep that pipeline going. So, I get done with these 5 deals, but now I could have 5 more next month also, because I was doing that. So that would probably be the first thing that comes to my mind as far as just, really being on top of your business in that way.
Yeah. I say it all the time. Like, you just got to shake the trees.
Yeah.
It's like, especially from the new agent's perspective, a lot of them come in and they don't understand that they're starting a business, and it requires that no one's waking them up. No one's pushing them out the door to go do anything. Right. It's all on you as an agent to get out there and make things happen. Like I said, always, shaking the tree. Another thing, somebody asked me.
Can I add something to that, Kelly, real quick?
Yeah.
Just one thing that because it hit me. I think, how many times have I fired myself over the years? And I think to treat it like a business, I think for the, newer agents watching this, like if this was a regular job and you had a boss, like a regular boss, would you have been fired at this point with how you've been working your business?
How you run it. Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's a good question. Go ahead.
It's a good question to ask ourselves. I think a lot of us would do that. I had to realize that, like, wait a minute, because I do see this sometimes, like, oh, I'm my own boss. So what happens? It's like, well, I don't set the alarm. I can sleep till 9 or 10, whatever. And then they get up and have my breakfast, and, I'm scrolling through Facebook and whatever. Mm-hmm. And next thing you know, I got to get to the gym, whatever. So I go to the gym, and, you come back, next thing you know, it's like 1 o'clock before you're even starting anything real estate.
Yeah.
And then I'm done by 4 because I got to go play golf, or I'm meeting a buddy, for a happy hour or something, whatever. And next thing you know, you put in about 2 or 3 hours really, truly into your business. And then you wonder why it's not working.
Right.
You've got to be your own boss and really, truly run it like a business,
That's right.
And especially at first, those first few years, man, it's you. And it might be 6-7 days a week. It's going to be out of balance for a while. You can figure out there's ways to leverage and ways to get it more in balance. We can talk about that. But at first you're going to be, it's all on you. And would you fire yourself right now? Looking at the last 2 weeks, how you've worked your business, have you been treating it like a business, or have you just been treating it like a hobby?
Yeah.
Because hobbies cost you money.
Yeah.
Whatever. A business will pay you and can set you up, down the road.
That's
future.
right. That's a good question, to ask ourselves every single day, and I heard that a long time ago as well. It's like, hey, wake up every day, or at the end of the night before you go to bed, like, okay, based on what I did today, would I fire myself today? Okay. So what am I going to do tomorrow? If the answer is yes, what am I going to do tomorrow to make that different? So kind of let's shift gears a little bit on that, so we've got agents that maybe have only been in the market 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And, it's all been a great market for the last handful of years, especially the last couple of years. It's been great as far as sales go. It's crazy at another level, for us realtors when we're in that type of market. But what advice would you give to agents, as the market started shifting right now, the last couple of months, like what advice do you give to agents that, maybe they weren't around back, in 2008, 9, 10, like we were, and we've been through a couple of different shifts, that one being a big one. You talked about 9/11 being another, type situation, but what advice would you give to those agents that, like how to prepare for the market that's beginning to shift?
Right. Just quit. Just kidding. I'm kidding.
Throw in the towel.
You're done. No, you're not. No. I think here's the thing. I think like there's nothing about this market to get into panic mode over.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing, my first, when I started in 2002, the first 5 years I was in the business, I mean, and I'm not saying this was the same all over the country, but for us here in Colorado Springs, I remember our average days on market was like 40, 45, somewhere in there. That was the average. There was about 3,500 homes on the market, whatever. Like, okay, now we're up to maybe 20, 21 days on the market, and people are like, oh my God, what's happening? What's happening? Whatever. We're up to 1,500 homes on the market. Oh my gosh, what's going on? It's like, no, calm down. We're kind of going back to just what I think of as being normal.
Yeah.
These last 2 and 3 years have been completely abnormal.
Yeah.
And so I think these newer agents and stuff, like, number one, I think, just you've got to learn how to, don't panic. What you're going to have to shift your marketing. You're going to have to shift, what you're saying to people, but learn what to say to people. Calm them down.
Yeah.
Because your clients are also reading the headlines, and let's face it, the news. I mean, whatever, the headlines are the headlines, and whatever. It doesn't sell anything if it doesn't get you in panic mode. I mean, the headline isn't always, like, that's not what the page
isn't even the story a lot of times. people just read headlines, they don't read the rest, and then it's like, oh my gosh, they misinterpreted really what the message was.
Totally. I think there's, if you look, I do think we're going to see interest rates, probably take another rise here, very soon. I think we're going to see them continue to go up. But here's what happens, in a recession. If you look back over the last, six or eight recessions, I was just reading this last week. You look at all the recessions over the last, 30, 40 years, every single one, the interest rates do this going into it. And then they start coming down because they have to start jump starting the economy. So I do think, as far as mortgage rates, interest rates, I think we're going to I think we'll see that. I don't know. I don't think we're going to get back down to the twos. Again, not normal. I do think we'll get down in. We're definitely going to come into the fives. I think we'll be into the fours.
You know what? We are. I reached out to my lender this morning, and he said right now we're about 4.875.
Really? Okay. Yeah. See, I haven't seen that yet,
just this morning. Yeah. So I knew they had come down a little bit, but I hadn't checked in the last 3 or 4 days. So that was pleasant surprise for sure. Yeah. Sure. I mean, that's a percent that's come down in the last month, really.
Yeah. I think too, get with, you always want to network in this business anyway. I mean, I've got lots of relationships with realtors in all different companies over the years. I'm having lunch tomorrow with a guy, whatever. And we're not talking EXP, nothing like that. We're friends and we're just going to have lunch and talk. So, I mean, we'll pick each other's brains. We'll mastermind on some of this stuff. We'll just get around agents who've been around a while. You got to learn how to have conversations now with your clients. You really haven't had to do that. Buyers, definitely you've had to coach them and all that kind of stuff the last couple of years. But now your sellers, which I've always focused on, for 18 of the 20 years, I've focused on listings primarily. Yeah. And but you've got to learn how to have these conversations with the sellers. You got to learn how to have that conversation when it comes to a price adjustment and what that means and how to price it right up front. Yeah. You don't want to chase the market down. In that sense. And so there's just different things. There's different skills now that have to come into play that we haven't had to have the last 3 years. But those of us who've been around for 20 years, whatever, you pull that one back out of the toolbox. You haven't used it for a while and clean it off. And now you got to use that tool again. And so I think, a lot of the newer agents get around the right people, get the right coaching, get the right training, collaborate with the good agents been around a while. And together, you'll learn with this and you'll go through this and you come out great on this. I mean, it's an opportunity, this kind of market, because we will see a lot of agents leaving the business. That's just the truth of it. It happens every time we go through something like this. But the good agents will stick around. Now, let me say this too. You're a new agent. You've been around for a couple of years and you're going on a listing appointment. You're going to be competing probably against, good agents. And so it's not the kind of market we've had the last couple of years. Stick a sign out there and it sells. It's going to take work. So you've got to be ready to go into that appointment. You've got to get your A game on and you've got to learn how to do that, because otherwise you won't get hired, because you will be competing against stronger agents, because the weaker agents are going to be leaving the business. So there's things to be thinking about, as we head into this market that we're in.
Yeah, that's good stuff. So, Jeff, was there been any time in your career that you kind of ever felt stuck? Like you've been in a long time. Have you ever been a time that you felt stuck? And, if so, how did you kind of push through that? Because as long as I've been around, I mean, there's been times in my career, but, I've seen a lot of other agents feel that way. So have you ever felt that way? And what have you done to push through?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I think about, I don't know if so much, here's what I would say: stuck on a hamster wheel.
Yes. That says it right there.
I don't know if I've been stuck in the sense of I don't know what to do.
Yes.
Well, to some degree, because here's the thing. Okay, so again, I do 72 deals my third year. My wife gets her license. We start working together. We hired an assistant. Best move I ever made. She did it without telling me, basically ran an ad. At first I was like, you did what? Yeah. Best thing we ever did, And so had an assistant on salary. And now there weren't virtual assistants back then. Right. A lot of VAs, there's some good VAs out there now. You can check on that. But having that assistant to help, that leveraged some of my time. That freed me up now. I didn't have to, respond to every email. I didn't have to sort through the hundreds of emails I was getting every day. She could do that. Send me the ones that I needed to read. She could help with the mailings we were doing. She could help when it came to addressing envelopes, with all the stuff we were doing. Just some of that stuff that, I tell people, look, the stuff that you can change the outcome of, you need to be involved in. negotiating deals, all those kind of things with the contracts and all the stuff we have to do as licensed realtors. But, what, sealing envelopes and putting stamps on them, getting to the mail, to go out, like I can pay somebody, $10, $12, $15 an hour to do that kind of stuff, like hire somebody to do that stuff. That helped. Then we bring on some buyer agents. Now, again, we were able to do a lot more deals, as a team. And I really thought it would leverage my time. Yeah. It just, to be honest, it really added to my time. I mean, love the team. I had a traditional team for 13 years. We did great. We had the #1 Keller Williams team for several years here in Colorado Springs. We did very well with that, but I was not leveraged the way I thought I'd be. It did not free me up the way I thought I'd be. And I remember January 1st, that first week of January, everybody's all rah. It's a new year, new goals and resolutions. Honestly, I would be so depressed at the beginning of the year because I'm like, where am I at in January? We just had 185 closings last year as a team. We just won, 4 or 5 different awards, #1 this and top 10 this and all these kinds of things. I got some of those sitting up on the shelf over here, whatever, collecting dust.
All mine are totes.
Where am I at January 1st? I'm right back at 0 and I got to do it all over again. That's where I felt stuck. I'm just like, gosh darn it, that was the most frustrating part of this. I mean, just got hit that point of just, some burnout, definitely. And just, whatever, we're taking our kids, we're going on vacation and I'm in the hotel room. We took our kids to Disney World. We were there for 10 days. They had the time of their life. They were 10 and 8, and we did it up big. And I feel like that's how you do it. Whatever I want to do it. I want them to experience the best of the best and all this stuff. But I remember for the 10 days, telling my wife, I'll call you when I get there, because where am I at? She's at the park having
in the hotel.
I'm in the hotel room till 4 o'clock in the afternoon, putting out fires back here in Colorado Springs. I'm not on vacation.
Yeah.
I'm stressed out of my mind because I know I'm coming back to just a mountain of craziness between my own deals, my team's deals, putting out fires, inspection issues, just all that stuff that goes on.
Yeah.
I just could not really truly get away. The way I thought I'd be able to, with my team. It added more marketing cost. It was more hours.
Yeah. Well, kind of now more, even more kind of, even another level of stress and headache because now you're worried about like, okay, do I have enough leads coming in, not only for me and my family, but, now for my team. So there's a whole nother dynamic and I'm going to circle back around to that in just a second. But, I wanted to talk about, back in 2015, you had gotten diagnosed with, with prostate cancer. Thankfully, they caught it quickly enough. And
caught it early. Yeah, for sure.
Clearly, you're doing fabulous now. But, as a realtor, and your wife, Lane, just like Steve, works with me, my husband. But, when we're 100% commission, you mentioned the roller coaster ride of, the up and downs. Like you might have a great month and then you might go 2 or 3 months without because of the roller coaster ride. But then when you have some kind of life hit you like that happened, 2 years ago, Steve had that quadruple bypass that came out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And again, many times in the realtor world, like realtors, not only now do you have health issues and concerns to be worried about, but now you got financial concerns on top of that. Right. And so kind of talk about that a little bit. What advice do you have for realtors, just for our realtor friends that are out there about, I guess I'd say the importance of being prepared for life,
For sure. Well, you want to just, I don't know, Robert Kiyosaki, I think it was in one of his books that I read, like, the average millionaire has 7 streams of income. I read that somewhere, I think it was one of his books. But, again, I think we need to diversify. We need to, if all your eggs are in one basket and something happens there, if something happens to that basket, you could be in trouble, or just something happens now where it's relying on you, to bring that income in, and then something happens that can be challenging. Most realtors that are listening to this are probably 2 or 3 months away from being completely out of business.
Yeah.
Financially. We tend to live check to check, deal to deal, closing to closing, whatever. Yeah, we have that big month, but then, we're not prepared for the future months or whatever. And so I think, one of my core values, one of my core beliefs is, if people understood the power of residual income, they'd run through a brick wall to get it.
Yeah.
It's a quote out there. And I love that quote because, I've been able to have that. When my wife and I, when we got that diagnosis, which again, you're not ready for that. I just went for an annual checkup.
Yeah.
Now we've been watching that number. It's a PSA number. They do a blood test, and some of the guys out there know about this, but they're watching this number. Well, they want it to be 4.0 or lower. Well, my dad had prostate cancer. My grandpa had prostate cancer, which almost all men have it. It's just a matter of, it's a very slow growing cancer. It's a matter of whatever if they diagnose that and you're 85, they're not going to do anything because you're going to be fine. You're not going to die of prostate cancer. You'll die of something else, old age or whatever. But again, I was 52 or something when it was really pretty young. But they start checking it normally around 50. They've been checking mine for a while. So every year I would go in, they do a blood test, checking all the stuff that they check. And here's this PSA number. Well, it would always kind of hang 3.8, 4.0, 3.9, 3.7. Well, then I go in this one year, 2015, it's like 6.9. And they're like, now not conclusive, but we should send you in to a specialist just to see. The doctor comes out, sorry, Mr. Morrell, I hate to tell you, but yep, you have prostate cancer. And, for the next 30 seconds, I'm not ready for that. I can tell you seriously, like I have no clue. The next 30 seconds, it's almost like things kind of go fuzzy.
Yeah.
And there's like a ringing in my ears. It's like the Charlie Brown thing, wah, 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 the doctor, I have no clue. And then I kind of come through with that. And then my wife is out in the waiting room. He's like, should we go get your wife? Yeah, let's bring her in. She breaks down, whatever. Now for me, I'm like, well, okay, what do we do? What's the next step? Let's fix it, And so ended up having surgery and clean bill of health ever since, fortunately. But I will tell you, for about 6 months, we had no closings on purpose because we could afford not to, and, through rental properties, through another business that we had that was paying us every month, just passive income, whatever. It's like, we were able to just pull back and focus on my health, focus on our marriage, focus on our kids, family, just let me recover. And yes, we're going to be a little tighter. That's okay. But the bills are going to get paid because there's money coming in from multiple sources to cover that. I tell people all the time, life happens. Yeah. It will happen to every single person listening to this in one way, shape, or form. Now, hopefully not health, but for some it will be health. Some it might be a spouse or a kid or someone, even outside, someone in your family that's not with you, but a parent or something. And now, you want to try and go help them and spend time with them or move them in or whatever needs to happen. There's all kinds of things that happens. Life happens. This economy out of our control,
right?
Whatever the market is out of our control. Interest rates out of our control. What our health. So it's in our control to some degree, but there's things like that you're just not ready for. Life happens, and it will happen to everybody, and most people just aren't ready for it. Yeah. So I preach that. I'm like, man, you need to have multiple streams somehow, some way, so that you're ready for when, not if, but when something hits you that's a curveball. I don't know, the basement floods, and all of a sudden it's just, you're not ready for that. And holy cow, you haven't been downstairs in a week, and you go downstairs and, squish on the carpet. What's going on? I don't know. Either a rainstorm or the water heater went out or something. And now you got to pull up carpet. Now here's, $8,000 worth of, or $10,000 worth of damage. You got to figure out how to do that. And I don't know, just life happens,
Well, and you mentioned that's, kind of one of your values, if you, and mine as well, once you've created and understand passive income, like you're going to do whatever to get to have that. Yeah. And it does help in those times of life when it happens. When Steve had his, bypass surgery 2 years ago, again, completely out of the blue, completely unexpected. On top of that, we were right smack in the early stages of COVID going on, with hospitals not letting people go in. Thankfully, they let me come in, with him when he went in for that surgery. But he and I talked about, because we have been able to create passive income really, a lot through EXP, but we have some real properties and what have you. Sure. Like we talked about so many times through his recovery, like what a blessing it is that we didn't have the financial concerns on top of the health concerns. Because when you go through that, and I say all the time, I kind of joke, but sadly, it's not a joke. Agents are terrible about saving for taxes every year, let alone thinking about like, hey, I need to be prepared, or, even thinking more into the future, like exit strategies, retirement, things like that. We just we're not taught that in our industry. Sadly, I think it's a missing link in our industry and our teachings, so, totally. I know a few years ago, you obviously partnered with EXP, and, you've had a massively successful real estate career, and you made the move. When was that? When did you move over to EXP?
February 2018.
Okay.
we removed. Yeah, I saw it. I saw it in like the end of January is when
Yeah.
Sean had called me, and yeah, we looked at it, and a week later in February
Made the move. Yeah, and we were same thing. We saw it in 2017, and about it was a small company, only had 3,200 agents at the time.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Now we just passed 83,000, so it was really a no-name company. But because it's such a different model, and I was like, wow, like if this really takes off, this would be an amazing model for not only the realtors, but also for them and their clients, right? Because of the collaboration and everything that we have as a company, so being a partner with EXP now, Jeff, for the last 3 or 4 years, what has that helped solve, if anything, which I'd be hard pressed to think of anything, but, what does that help solve, in the challenges that we struggle with as realtors?
Well, it's really, number one, I mean, for us, and again, not everybody does this, but I mean, we just get paid in multiple ways for what we're going to be doing anyway. Yeah. That was the thing I realized, like, okay, if I do the same production this year that I did last year, and last year I'm over here at this other company, and now I move over to EXP, I will make more money over here.
Yeah.
And that just made sense to me, like when I looked at it. But then also, with the stock, we get stock bonuses everywhere. My wife and I have hit Icon Agent where we get, I get asked this question. One of the first things when I ask people, hey, have you ever looked at EXP? Well, no. Would you be open? Well, tell me. One of the first questions a lot of times, well, what are the splits?
Right.
And I tell them, well, it's 80-20. Well, I'm at 95-5. No, thank you. No. I'm at 80-20. But look, work with me. Let me show you. A lot of the people I'm working with, we're getting our 20% back. And I want to help you get your 20% back.
Right. Yeah.
And so there, and then there's ways to get over 100%. That's where I've been since I've been here. So they're paying me to be here. I've never seen that before.
Which doesn't even sound like it makes sense from a business perspective. Yeah. Exactly. I think, that's not possible. But
how can the company stay in business with that? That doesn't work. But I'm telling you, there's ways to do it. We're going to show you how to do it. We'll show you. Whatever, like, there's a reason why we're growing the way we're growing. And go back 4 years ago, like when nobody heard of this thing. And even when I saw it, like, I get it, let me do my due diligence. I'm absolutely, it's got to be the right thing for you. But as far as due diligence, it's a matter of, is it the right fit for you? It's not a matter, is this thing for real or is this going to work?
Yeah.
When you've got the kind of agents coming over here, I mean, again, Ibrahim Hussein, number one Keller Williams agent, team in the country of Canada. And in March, he moved over here. The Perry Group out of Utah, number one real estate team in the state of Utah, not just at their company, but in the entire state, number one. And they move over here a few months ago. Like every week, here comes stories like this. None of these people would be coming over here if they thought it was going to hurt their business, if it wasn't for real, if it wasn't legit, if they were skeptical. Like the skepticism part, like that's gone. If you're skeptical, you're skeptical. But I've never seen a skeptical person, make money. It just doesn't work. But like the skepticism, if you're skeptical over anything, be skeptical over yourself. Will I work hard enough to make it work in this business? Period. There's the skepticism, I think. But as far as the company, is it for real? Is it working? Oh, it's working. It's working in a huge way. And I think what it's helped for me is like, our passive income that we get now coming in every month is really at the point where it's more than our bills.
Yeah.
So there's freedom that comes with that.
Yeah.
That's always been my goal. If I can get all my bills, if I can get $1 more than all my outgoing bills, if I get $1 more coming in, whatever, passively, I'm essentially free at that point. Now, I don't want to settle for that. I want to get a nice cushion. I want to get it way up there, whatever. And we're doing that. But now we can start picking and choosing the deals we want to do. Yeah. I don't have to work with everybody that comes my way.
That's right. Yeah. When you're dependent 100% just on your one way of earning income,
you take everything.
Right. You're going to take anything you can. And, even if your client's abusive to you, it's like, oh, but I need it, and so it gives you that freedom to be able to, like you just said, pick and choose. I mean, even talking about stock, doing real estate as long as I've done, and I came from 100% company who I was very happy with. I did not leave because I was unhappy at all. But when I saw that we get multiple ways, and could potentially even earn over 100%, which I knew that I could do that if I just, put a little bit of effort there. And, that has happened. But, what surprised me when I finish this is our stock that we get for doing what we already do. What what surprised me was, because this was never a thought that this would be an option. I just figured, oh, that's gravy on top, because nowhere have I ever earned stock from anywhere, any company. That in 2020, Steve and I were looking at kind of our stock portfolio that we'd accumulated at that point, and we were going to pay off one of our rental houses. I mean, awesome. Like that would never have happened had we not made the move. And that was like, quite honestly, that was just money that was just, I don't know, for lack of a better word, bonus money, right? That we had accrued and accumulated, that it was like, wow, we could take some of our shares and pay this house off, which we did.
Well, and you're going to be doing real estate anyway. I ask people all the time, like, again, 5 years from now, where do you want to be with your business? Do you want to build a team? Do you want to have a brokerage of your own? Do you want to buy into a franchise? Do you want to, you want to be out of the business? You've been doing it 20 years. Is it time to retire? Like, where do you want to be 5 years from now? Now, most of the time they don't have a plan to get there. It's just kind of this pie in the sky sort of idea that they want to do. Yeah. When I ask them a plan, well, they just kind of go, oh, I don't know. They're just assuming that somehow they'll figure it out and get there. But again, aim at nothing and you'll hit it every time.
Yeah.
It's like, man, what's the target and what's the plan to get there? And now we can help them get to that point of building their business.
We can help them with the roadmap. Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Whatever. But then also being able to, if you're getting paid in multiple ways, and all of a sudden now, if I could help, I tell people all the time, if I could help you replace your commission income with referral income, what would life look like?
Right.
Well, that's impossible. No. We're doing it over here. We got lots of people doing it over here.
Yeah.
At least have that option. Now, again, I could still do 50 deals a year on top of that passive income. Whatever, it's up to me, but at least have that option here.
Yeah.
Right now, there's two ways to make more money in this business: sell more homes or sell higher priced homes.
Yeah.
Most people sell more homes. Well, the problem with that is it's more of everything that goes with it.
Time, more expenses.
It's more marketing costs. It's more signs in the yard. It's more lock boxes. It's more Wednesday nights at 10 o'clock on the computer. It's more open houses on the weekends away from your family. I always hated that idea. I mean, I did open houses, and I know for new agents, a great way to get out there and network and meet people and do that. I always recommend that, of course, whatever. But I remember it was like my third or fourth year, and I'm just like, what am I doing? It's a Sunday afternoon, and I'm sitting in some stranger's house. Would I rather be home spending some time with my kids?
Yeah.
Heck yeah. Whatever. But here I am taking 3 and 4 hours by the time I put out the signs and get the signs and do all the stuff I got to do. And I spent my whole Sunday afternoon in somebody else's house.
Yeah.
And I get it. That's what we do. But then Monday comes and it's like, wait a minute. Where's the weekend? There's no weekends.
I know. It's always the joke. Isn't it funny? Like in our industry, we always laugh, people, our friends out there in the corporate world, they'll post and, oh, thank God it's Friday. And I'm like, I don't mean a thing.
Exactly.
In the real estate world, it does now because we've been able to build a different kind of business, a different model, and like you said, work a lot off referrals. But for many, many years, and that all just comes, and that comes to me when you're surrounding yourself with people who are outthinking you, right? Who are doing bigger things than you. It's I believe in that saying that says, you've got to be around people that outthink you. Because they're the ones that are going to help lift you up. They're going to pull you up. They're going to have you think of things, that you may never have even thought about. Right. Totally. So it's always about surrounding yourself, and I feel like I've always done that, which kind of you started with this saying, hey, I'm always open to looking at anything, because I say all the time, I don't know what I don't know in anything, real estate or anything. So why would I just shut somebody off, who was trying to potentially show me something different and better, and I'm like saying no, and I don't even really know what I'm saying no to.
Yeah, for sure. If I'm the smartest one in the room, I'm in the wrong room.
In the wrong room. That's it.
And so, I mean, I'm always working on growing. I mean, all these books back here, like over on this side, I've got just dumb books to just like shut my mind off, whatever. I like to just read. Over all these books over here, they're all, like to help me grow spiritually, mentally, just, personal development, all kinds of stuff. And so always work on that, but then get around the right people.
That's
because you become who you hang around.
That's right.
Whatever, if you're, if you're around 5 realtors and they're all broke, you're the
sixth broke one. Yeah,
exactly. And it's like, I want to be that person. I want to I want to get around the right people.
Right.
And honestly, that's why I plugged into that coaching program. My 6 months in, I joined a coaching program as part of it for 9 years, because they were some of the best agents in the country. And within 2.5 years, I was in the top 20 in town here. out of 4,000 agents. And oh my God, you're so lucky. Everything you touch turns to gold. I hear these things, whatever. It's like, no, I bust myself, but I get around the right people.
That's right. Way back in the day, I joined something. Did you remember? Were you around? Because it was kind of fading out there, but I joined Star Power. Did you remember that?
I've heard of it. Yeah, I don't.
Okay, so Howard Britton started that. It was awesome. Like, I went to the conferences, and it was all the best of the best real estate agents. Then I joined Craig Proctor, at the high level, which is, I know, the one you were into. We never knew each other through that program, but it was always the top agents, and they were coaching at a high level. And so I attribute a lot of that as well to my success. But it's around, it's about plugging yourself into around people that are doing things bigger than you so that you can learn from them. And so, what I'll just wrap up with, if you're listening and Jeff here, I'd say, and you want to reach out about partnering with him or partnering with myself, just reach out to us. And if you know us, like, you can hit us up on any of our social medias or, obviously, if you've got our numbers too. But, Jeff, I just want to thank you so much for sharing your wisdom and your knowledge with us. And,
Sure.
You're one of those people that, I love just to be around, the opportunities that I get to be around, because you're one that, is always thinking bigger and growing. And those are the people that I like to surround myself with, for sure.
For sure. Well, I think, and just, I don't know, we're having a blast. I mean, we're having a lot of fun. The fun has come back,
Yes.
I mean, that burnout factor went away.
Yeah.
And having a lot of fun. And part of that is just being around the right people, because everybody's, we're all lifting each other up, and it's just it's such a positive environment to be around. But I will say this too, I mean, when I saw this 4 years ago, I was like, I realized then, like, wow, I was like, what if this thing goes? I don't want to miss it.
That's the question.
I'm like, I knew I wasn't locked in here. I could always go back to where I came from. Let me give it a year, see where it goes. Whatever. I still do my business the way I always did. Nothing will change there. I'll still do 30, 40, 50 deals this year.
Yeah.
Let me go try this and just see what happens. And if it's, if it's not what I thought it was going to be, I'll go back to where I came from. What do I have to lose? It looks like I had a whole lot to gain. And I will tell you, without question, I'm more excited today than I was 4 years ago.
Yeah.
It's been the absolute best business decision I've ever made
in your real estate. I say that all the time too. 100%. I say
and
that.
You ask everybody over here, that's what they'll tell you. I'm just saying, that's what they say. And the ones that have hesitated, the ones like, well, give me 6 months, give me a year, give me 2 years. Let me do my stuff, whatever. And they don't come up. I should have done it when Jeff first showed me.
Yeah.
What's the one regret you have about EXP? Well, I should have done it a year ago when I first saw it.
Yeah, when I first saw it.
That's what I hear from everybody. I'm like, I'm not hesitating, because what if this thing goes? And it's gone way beyond what I thought it would do.
Yeah.
I can't imagine where we're going to be 4 years from now. Oh my goodness.
I know. We're excited to be on the ride, aren't we?
Yeah,
for sure.
Kathy, thank you. I appreciate you asking me to be on here.
Absolutely. Enjoyed it. Thanks so much, Jeff.
Thank you. Thanks, guys.
Bye, guys.